Good morning everybody, welcome to another film. I think it's going to be a quick one this morning. We was out yesterday and driving down this road that you see behind me and spotted this beautiful line of beech woodland. It's like a linear corridor of beech trees and quite mature, beautiful colours on them at the moment. But I was up this morning having a coffee watching the early morning news, and the forecast for the next 3 or 4 days is for strong winds and rain, and all these lovely leaves just may well be stripped in that time. So I got the camera bag and dashed out the door, and here I am, travelled about 45 minutes from where we're staying. So I'm going to get in there now. Hopefully we'll find something. Certainly not got any atmosphere, but the sun is about to peek over the hillside. In fact, it's just catching some of the trees at the back there, and we might get some nice light in here in about half an hour. So get in there and try and find a composition quickly as I can before this rain comes. It's forecast to come here round about 10 o'clock and it's now 7:45, so we might get lucky. So I've been in the woodland about 10 minutes now, and already I've covered all the ground in that direction, and the pathway that I just walked down a minute ago is probably about 50 yards in that direction. And this little patch here is the only patch that to my mind so far that works, and the reason for that is that it's got quite a dense canopy of leaves as the backdrop. Whenever I get in that direction, whenever I get in amongst the trees, there's always a lot of light filtering through the various gaps. From here it looks quite dense, but once you get in it's not. So I think I'm going to set the camera up here maybe and have a look. I'm not convinced as yet because there's no obvious pathways creating a leading through the trees that also incorporates that nice backdrop of colour. I do like, what I was drawn to as well was on the ground there's a lot of nice colour forming the base, but you've got to be careful with that you don't have too much and it becomes too much of a dominating feature. So it's trying to fit the pieces of the jigsaw together so you get a good composition. Typically with beech woods this far north they're all planted, and as much as we try to make natural looking woodlands when we plant trees, we inevitably end up with woodlands that are quite uniform in character, and this one's no exception. There's very, very similar spacing between the trees, which shouts out to me, to my eye, that it's not a natural woodland. It's certainly plantation. But I'm not going to be put off by that. I think there might be something here, but I'm not 100% convinced just at the minute. Now I have to say, this first image is, for me, it's nothing particularly special. It does lack atmosphere. It possibly lacks a bit of directional sunlight filtering through the image as well. But compositionally, it does fit together. There is one little niggle that I'll point out, but I think it's useful to talk through the composition anyway. So I'll talk you through what I've set up, bearing in mind that the video camera is a 16:9 aspect ratio. The camera is a 4:3, so much squarer. I will probably lose a little bit top and bottom off the final frame when I show it, but yeah, that camera is showing a lot more of the top part of the frame than what you actually see through the video. So the trees on the right here, this one's actually a silver birch, and the beech tree on the left form the main anchors to the image, and the camera's set at a slight angle more in line with this one to create a bit of a leading line through the gaps of the two trees. The bit I most dislike about the image, apart from the lack of atmosphere and glorious light of course, is this diagonal branch just up here. I feel that that's a dark line running through the frame, which I'm not overly keen on, but it is what it is, and it's not a bad starting point for an image. So in terms of settings, I'm on f16. It's a single shot. I'm not going to do any focus stacking. The lens is round about 80mm, something like that, and I've got a case polarizer on just to take a bit of reflective surfaces off the beech leaves. They're quite waxy on the top surfaces, so it just helps to remove that bit of reflection. and also saturate the colours more of the trees. So I'll put that on now. So I've framed this up, this little piece to camera, so you can see the beauty of that beech woodland behind me. Now I've walked through all of that, and there really isn't any compositions screaming out at me. And the best word I can use to describe what I see there from a photographic point of view is it's nice. And nice isn't the word I'm trying to find when I'm looking for words to describe the images that I present to the viewer. I much prefer just to enjoy that for what it is. There's no shot there for me. It needs something else. It needs the atmosphere, it needs the light, and we've just got flat light, and there's a lack of composition in the whole scene. There's nothing particular to rest my eye on. It just is a nice scene, and we should just sometimes enjoy these little parts of the landscape for what they are, not get too fixated on having to grab a shot every time we find something that's nice. So I've been all the way to that end of the woodland, and I've a little bit left to go in that direction, but not a lot. So it's not looking overly promising for many scenes, to be honest, but we've now got the flat light is creeping in. We had a little bit of sunlight about 10 minutes ago, but the flat light is certainly coming now, and I think the bad weather's on its way, so I need to finish this little section, and hopefully we might find something else. But my enthusiasm for finding another shot is draining away as we speak. So, but yeah, enjoy that for what it is, and don't get too fixated on having to get great pictures every time you see a nice scene. So I've got the camera locked off on a shot, or a potential shot, that I saw as I walked through this section of woodland, and I'm nearly at the end of the woods now, so quite happy to find this at last, and I think it's probably the best shot that I'll find in this location today. The beech tree just over on the left hand side there, and the one on the right, the main anchors to the picture, and you could argue that your eye might be bouncing from one to the other, but I'll let you decide on that. I think it's quite nice. What I like about it particularly is the low hanging branches just here. They're sort of angled towards the light, and they're catching the light, and it's just making that little bit of contrast. But crucially for me, the foreground is more interesting than, I'm right at the side of the road here, so there's a lot of traffic, is that the beechwood floor is often quite monotonous, because you just get a lot of beech leaves and uninterrupted carpets of copper, and it's nice to see, but it's sometimes nice to have something to break that up. And here we've got some new beech regrowth that's coming up, and it's also in its autumn colours, so it helps to create a nice bit of foreground interest that I quite like. As you see that camera locked off, there's a lot of light coming through the canopy, so I'm going to crop that out, so it's a much tighter crop than what that camera's actually showing. So just be mindful that in order to do that, I've got to go quite tight into those two trunks, and that's where I talk about your eye might bounce from one to the other. But I think it's helped by the fact that you're able to walk through with your eye on this bit of a journey through the gap to see the mature trunks in the background, and they're quite nice to look at. I think this isn't a bad shot. It would be really lovely again to have that atmosphere, but we've not got it. But compositionally, I think it works. I suppose the question, which you'll all give me the comments below, is whether your eye is bouncing from one tree to the other and not being carried through the scene. I quite like it, so we'll see how it looks. So that's it, that's the end of the woodland. I've probably covered about 400 metres in total. Really nice little walk, beautiful scenery, 2 images, not bad for a couple of hours, which it's been this morning. I don't think they're of the standard quality that I'm really searching for. Those images, those little nuggets only come along once in a while, but some pretty reasonable images and decent compositions, and I just think a bit of atmosphere or a bit of better light would have really lifted those shots. The light has gone really flat now. That last shot that I took, I think the shutter speed was in the region of about 4 seconds, which is pushing it for pictures of leaves on branches. Probably some of those will be a little bit soft on the final image, but I've enjoyed myself. It's been nice to get out, even though it's only been for a short time today. I don't know when I'm going to get out again in the next week or so, but fingers crossed the weather will pick up and some of these colours will be left. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.